just renting the place, okay? I'm just renting this place. I couldn't get Brody into the picture, so we don't talk about that, yeah. It's Christmas, cough, cough. Yep. Well, when you think of something that's nice and cozy, what do you think? You think of a nice log cabin during the winter time with the fireplace going. My bed. Alright. I think of arguing. I'm sorry to think that. I'm sorry you think that. But you're here now. Probably not the best thing to think of, I guess. But hey, peeking, you're here now, and you're part of this family. So I'm like always checking the audio levels to make sure. Make sure it's solid. I kind of like threw this together pretty quickly. It's great levels right now. Okay. Make sure it's solid. I kind of like threw this together. Maybe I need to boost up the fire crackling sound effects. Okay. Zachception. Yes, this is all coming live from my little humble escape. So, you know, we did a poll in the Discord for what book to read. And pretty overwhelmingly, people chose The Shining. You are my Nissan? Nissan? No, I'm not your Nissan Altima. I'm sorry. Indeedeth. Yes. So tonight we'll be reading Stephen King's The Shining. To be honest with you, I haven't read. I've had this book for a really long time, and I haven't read it either. I've read a couple pages, but I've never actually read it. Woo! Time to fall asleep to murder. It's not really murder, but it's kind of, yeah. I'll read the back for right now. I kind of want to like wait for others to come in, because some people were like, "Oh, I'll definitely be there for the book reading." I'm like, okay, if you say so. But, close enough. Yeah, that's true. So let me just read the back of the summary blurb to you. Jack Torrance's new job at the Overlook Hotel is the perfect chance for a fresh start. As the off-season caretaker at the atmospheric old hotel, he'll have plenty of time to spend reconnecting with his family and working on his writing. But as the harsh winter weather sets in, the idyllic location feels ever more remote and more sinister. And the only one to notice the strange and terrible forces gathering around the Overlook is Danny Torrance, a uniquely gifted 5-year-old. Gonna do homework while I listen to you? Okay. Well, make sure that you're doing well on your homework, you're focusing on it, and I appreciate you for, sticking by and lurking. This is my first ever, legit just chatting stream, so I'm kind of nervous. But I'm just kind of wondering, how do you start this? How does one just start reading to people? Can you hear the paper? Yes, I got an actual book here. So we have part 1. Prefatory matters. I guess I just kind of hop into it, right? I guess that, yeah, I just kind of hop into it. So, here we go. Jack Torrance was chapter 1, job interview. Idea, put the chapter on the screen. Ooh, you know, that's not a bad idea. Okay. So, let me see if I can do that right now. Text. Go ahead and create new. It'll be chapters. Chapter 1. That is huge. Okay.
The mystery which binds me still. From the torrent or the fountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sun that round me.
Let's put it like right. Yeah, that's perfect. Right over the fireplace. Maybe find background music without people talking. Yeah, it's like one of those where it's one of the automatic like. Yeah, this is good. Okay. True, too much information. Yeah. I am back after my phone decided to be a jerk. Well, welcome back. You didn't really miss that much. After a good recommendation from Floki, we have what chapter we're on up top. Might want to change the opacity a little bit. Thunder, rain while it's snowing outside? It's possible. I've had it happen to me before. So right now we're on chapter 1. It's called Job Interview. And plus, actually, it kind of works right now because it's actually raining and thundering for me right now. So, throwing a little realism there. So I guess it just started, right? Chapter 1, Job Interview. Jack Torrance thought, officious little prick. Ullman stood 5'5", and when he moved, it was with the prissy speed that seems to be the exclusive domain of all small, plump men. The part in his hair was exact, and his dark suit was sober but comforting. I'm a man you can bring your problems to, that suit said to the paying customer. To the hired help, it spoke more curtly. This had better be good, you. There's a red carnation in the lapel, perhaps so that no one on the street would mistake Stuart Ullman for the local undertaker. As he listened to Ullman speak, Jack admitted to himself that he probably could not have liked any man on that side of the desk, under the circumstances. Ullman had asked a question he hadn't caught. That was bad. Ullman was the type of man who would file such lapses away in a mental Rolodex for later consideration. I'm sorry? I asked if your wife fully understood what you would be taking on here. And there's your son, of course. He glanced down at the application in front of him. Daniel, your wife isn't a bit intimidated by the idea? Wendy is an extraordinary woman. And your son is also extraordinary? Jack smiled. A big, wide PR smile. We like to think so, I suppose. He's quite self-reliant for a 5-year-old. No returning smile from Ullman. He slipped Jack's application back into a file. The file went into a drawer. The desktop was now completely bare, except for a blotter, a telephone, a tensor lamp, and an in-out basket. Both sides of the in-and-out were empty too. Ullman stood up and went to the file cabinet in the corner. Step around the desk, if you will, Mr. Torrance. We'll look at the hotel floor plans. He brought back 5 large sheets and set them down on the glossy walnut plane of the desk. Jack stood by his shoulder, very much aware of the scent of Ullman's cologne. All my men wear English leather, or they wear nothing at all, came into his mind for no reason at all, and he had to clamp his tongue between his teeth to keep in a bray of laughter. Beyond the wall, faintly, came the sounds of the Overlook Hotel's kitchen, gearing down from lunch. Top floor, Ullman said briskly. The attic. Absolutely nothing up there now but bric-a-brac. The Overlook has changed hands several times since World War II, and it seems that each successive manager has put everything they don't want up in that attic. I want rat traps and poison baits sewed around in it. Some of the third floor chambermaids said they've heard rustling noises. I don't believe it, not for a moment, but there mustn't even be that 1 in 100 chance that a single rat inhabits the Overlook Hotel. Jack, who suspected that every hotel in the world had a rat or two, held his tongue. Of course, you wouldn't allow your son up there in the attic under any circumstances. No, Jack said, and flashed the big PR smile again. Humiliating situation. Did this officious little prick actually think he would allow his son to goof around in a rat trap attic full of junk furniture and God knows what else? Ullman whisked away the attic floor plan and put it on the bottom of the pile. The Overlook has had 110 guest quarters, he said in a scholarly voice. 30 of them, all suites, are here on the 3rd floor. 10 in the west wing, including the presidential suite. 10 in the center, 10 more in the east wing. All of them command magnificent views. Could you at least spare the sales talk? But he kept quiet. He needed the job. Ullman put the 3rd floor on the bottom of the pile and they studied the 2nd floor. 40 rooms, Ullman said, 30 doubles and 10 singles. And on the 1st floor, 20 of each, plus 3 linen closets on each floor and a storeroom, which is at the extreme east end of the hotel on the 2nd floor and the extreme west end on the 1st. Questions? Hey there, later. Welcome to our little cozy abode here. We're just reading The Shining. We reached our goal of 170 followers, and we're just, yeah. So, if you want, just kind of sit back, relax, get comfy, enjoy the nice crackle of the fireplace and the music in the background, and we'll read The Shining together. I'm pretty sure that's how the actual hotel this is based on is. Maybe. It was based on the Stanley Hotel, and I don't really know the floor plans of it. Just chatting. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, where was I? Jack shook his head. Ullman whisked the 2nd and 1st floors away. Now, lobby level. Here in the center is the registration desk. Behind it are the offices. The lobby runs for 80 feet in either direction from the desk. Over here in the west wing is the Overlook dining room and the Colorado Lounge. The banquet in the ballroom facility is in the east wing. Questions? I feel like the channel points are against you. They kinda are! And that's the point. The weightlifting and the, weightlifting on Walk a Miles is so I get off my butt and I do something. Because a lot of the times, I spend a lot of time inside. Because of how I am. And so it just gets me to do stuff so I'll be more active. If you have an idea, if you have a suggestion, I might add some more. Where was I? Only about the basement, Jack said. For the winter caretaker, that's the most important level of all. Where the action is, so to speak. Watson will show you all that. The basement floor plan is on the boiler room wall. He frowned impressively, perhaps to show that as a manager he did not concern himself with such mundane aspects of the Overlook's operation as the boiler and the plumbing. Might not be a bad idea to put some traps down there too. Just a minute. He scrawled a note on a pad he took from his inner coat pocket. Each sheet bore the legend, "From the desk of Stuart Ullman," in bold black script. Tore it off and dropped it into the outbasket. It sat there looking lonesome. The pad disappeared back into Ullman's jacket pocket, like the conclusion of a magician's trick. Now you see it, Jackie boy. Now you don't. This guy is a real heavyweight. They had resumed their original positions. Ullman behind the desk and Jack in front of it. Interviewer and interviewee. Supplicant and reluctant patron. Ullman folded his neat little hands on the desk blotter and looked directly at Jack, a small balding man in a banker's suit and a quiet gray tie. The flower in his lapel was balanced off by a small lapel pin on either side. It read simply "Staff" in small gold letters. "I'll be perfectly frank with you, Mr. Torrance," Albert Shockley is a powerful man with large interest in the Overlook, which showed a profit this season for the first time in its history. Mr. Shockley also sits on the board of directors, but he is not a hotel man, and he would be the first to admit this. But he has made his wishes in this caretaking matter quite obvious. He wants you hired. I will do so. But if I had been given a free hand in this matter, I would have not taken you on. Jack's hands were clenched tightly in his lap, working against each other, sweating. Officious little prick, officious little prick, officious. I don't believe you care much for me, Mr. Torrance. I don't care. Certainly your feelings toward me play no part in my own belief that you were not right for the job. During the season that runs from May 15th to September 30th, the Overlook employs 110 people full-time. One for every room in the hotel, you might say. I don't think many of them like me, and I suspect that some of them think I'm a bit of a bastard. They would be correct in their judgment of my character. I have to be a bit of a bastard to run this hotel in the manner it deserves. He looked at Jack for a comment, and Jack flashed the PR smile again, large and insultingly toothy. Ullman said, "The Overlook was built in the years 1907 to 1909. The closest town is Sidewinder, 40 miles east of here, over roads that are closed for some time in late October or November, until sometime in April. A man named Robert Townley Watson built it, the grandfather of our present maintenance man. Vanderbilts have stayed here, and the Rockefellers, and the Astors, and the DuPonts. 4 presidents have stayed in the presidential suite: Wilson, Harding, Roosevelt, and Nixon." "I wouldn't be too proud of Harding and Nixon," Jack murmured. Ullman frowned, but went on regardless. "It proved too much for Mr. Watson, and he sold the hotel in 1915. It was sold again in 1922, in 1929, in 1936. It stood vacant until the end of World War II, when it was purchased and completely renovated by Horace Derwent, millionaire inventor, pilot, film producer, and entrepreneur." "I know the name," Jack said. "Yes, everything he touched seemed to turn to gold, except the Overlook. He funneled over $1 million into it before the first post-war guest ever stepped through its doors, turning a decrepit relic into a showplace. It was Derwent who added the Rue Court I saw you admiring when you arrived." Rue? Rogue? "A British forebearer of our croquet, Mr. Torrance. Croquet is bastardized rook. According to legend, Derwent learned the game from his social secretary and fell completely in love with it. Ours may be the finest rook court in America." "I wouldn't doubt it," Jack said gravely. "A rook court, a topiary full of hedge animals out front. What next? A life-sized Uncle Wiggily game behind the equipment shed?" He's getting very tired of Mr. Stuart Ullman, but you see that Ullman wasn't done. Ullman was going to have his say, every last word of it. When he lost $3 million, Derwent sold it to a group of California investors. Their experience with the Overlook was equally bad, just not hotel people. In 1970, Mr. Shockley and a group of his associates bought the hotel and turned its management over to me. We have also run in the red for several years, but I'm happy to say that the trust of the present owners in me has never wavered. Last year we broke even, and this year, the Overlook's accounts were written in black ink for the first time in almost 7 decades. 7 decades in the red, holy shit. Okay. Jack supposed that this fuzzy little man's pride was justified. Then his original dislike washed over him again in a wave. he said. I see no connection between the Overlook's admittedly bright, colourful history and your feeling that I'm wrong for the post, Mr. Ullman. One reason that... oh, I read that wrong. No, that was supposed to be Jack saying that. Oh, crap. Okay. Interesting. I see no connection between the Overlook's admittedly colorful history and your feeling that I'm wrong for the post, Mr. Oldman. 3, 2, 1, wall! Hello! Yes, it is Bedtime Stories. Welcome! I saw you were streaming last night, and was it last night or was it Friday? I saw you streaming recently, and I wanted to say hello, but I was just kind of lurking, because I was cleaning my room. Well, hello! How are you, Wall? It's so great to see you. Yes, tonight we reached our, yeah, it was Friday. My days are blending together. But we reached our goal of 170 followers last night. And so, as promised, I'm doing a book reading stream. And I put it to a vote in Discord. I put it to a vote in the Discord, and everyone chose The Shining. That was one of the bigger streams I've had in a while, too. I know! I was so happy for you. But yes, we put it to a vote in the Discord, and everyone chose The Shining. So, I hope you will kick back, relax, get comfy if you have homework to do, or whatever. You know, just enjoy the sounds of the fire, my wonderful voice acting, the music, and, you know, I hope you'll enjoy this story. It is The Shining. It's a classic. Let me see if I could find where I left off. Right. One reason that the Overlook has lost so much money lies in the depreciation that occurs. Oh, it's depreciation. Lies in the depreciation that occurs each winter. This shortens the profit margin a great deal more than you might believe, Mr. Torrance. The winters are fantastically cruel. In order to cope with the problem, I've installed a full-time winter caretaker to run the boiler and to heat different parts of the hotel on a daily rotating basis. To repair breakage as it occurs and do repairs, so the elements can't get a foothold. Gonna be doodling, but I'll be lurking. Alright, Wall. Thank you. Thank you for the lurk, and so great to hear from you again. Don't be afraid to, like, redeem a hydrate at any point, because I'm gonna be, like, reading until someone does redeem a hydrate or just talks, so... just a heads up for anyone. To be constantly alert to any and every contingency. During our first winter, I hired a family instead of a single man. There was a tragedy. A horrible tragedy. Wow, thank you so much for the hydrate. I've been dying here. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I needed that really badly. Alright. Almond looked at Jack coolly and appraisingly. I made a mistake. I admit it freely. This man was a drunk. Jack felt a slow, hot grin, the total antithesis of the toothy PR grin, stretch across his mouth. Is that it? I'm surprised Al didn't tell you. I've retired. Yes, Mr. Shockley told me you no longer drink. He also told me about your last job. Your last position of trust, shall we say. You were teaching English in a Vermont prep school. You lost your temper? I don't believe I need to be any more specific than that. But I do happen to believe that Grady's case has a bearing, and that is why I brought the matter of your, previous history into the conversation. Got you, fam. Thank you. Thank you, Wall. Thank you. You a real one. During the winter of 1970 to 71, after we had refurbished the Overlook, but before our first season, I hired this unfortunate named Delbert Grady. He moved into the quarters you and your wife and son will be sharing. He had a wife and 2 daughters. I had reservations. The main ones being the harshness of the winter season and the fact that the Grady's would be cut off from the outside world for 5 to 6 months. But that's not really true, is it? There are telephones here, and probably a citizens band radio as well. And the Rocky Mountain National Park is within helicopter range, and surely a piece of ground that big must have a chopper or two. If all your followers use channel points for the dumbbells, you would have to lift them 3,440 times. Ah, you see? But that's the thing. I put a limit on it. Only 7 per stream. Only 7 redemptions per stream. So that way I don't die. But thank you for the warning later. I appreciate it. Yep. Only 7 redemptions per stream. Where was I? I wouldn't know about that, Oldman said. The hotel does have a 2-way radio that Mr. Watson will show you, along with a list of the correct frequencies to broadcast on if you need help. 70 is a big number. It is a big number. Oh, you redeemed weightlifting? Well, here's one. Okay. Well, I gotta pause the music. I gotta pause the fire. Let me pull up the song. It's about to get rather not so festive and like I gotta import the image too. Here we go. Add existing swole plague doctor. Ah, he's big. He's big. Steamy, one might say. I didn't expect that someone would redeem a weightlifting. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now the other arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Oh no, I come back to this. Evie, hello! Welcome! Welcome to the book reading stream. Yes, I'm sorry you've had to come back to that. But welcome, Evie. It's so great to have you here. We did a poll in the Discord, and I don't know if you voted in it. I don't think you did. We did a poll in the Discord in the general chat, and everyone chose The Shining, which is what we're reading today. Let me see. No, you did not. You did not vote in it. Yes, but we are reading The Shining today, so hopefully you will be able to just kick back, relax, listen to the music and the sound of my voice. Best 250 I've ever spent. I'm glad you liked it. Ooh, good picks. Yep. I was out. Yes, you were outvoted, Dragon. Maybe next time. Maybe Killing Floor will be on the list next time for votes. But yes, we are currently on chapter 1. And it is bedtime stories for sleepy shadows. You are all my sleepy shadows. I must read you this bedtime story of The Shining. So, bundle up, get comfy, and let's enjoy. Let's see, where was I? Do, 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 do. Okay. Here it was. I wouldn't know about that, Ullman said. The hotel does have a two-way radio that Mr. Watson will show you, along with a list of the correct frequencies to broadcast on if you need help. The telephone lines between here and Sidewinder are still above ground, and they go down almost every winter at some point or other, and are apt to stay down for 3 weeks to a month and a half. There's a snowmobile in the equipment shed also. Oh yeah, where was it? This would have been super cool to do a viewer and streamer voice act something together. Maybe for the next milestone. Yeah, that is a good idea, Wall. It's just the problem is like, I have the physical copy of the book, and so it would be kind of hard to do it together. I would kind of have to compile like a script for everyone, and this is a pretty long book. So, but I love the idea. Really great idea. But this will help me practice my voice acting chops. Then this place really isn't cut off. Mr. Ullman looked pained. Suppose your son or your wife tripped on the stairs and fractured his or her skull, Mr. Torrance. Would you think this place is cut off then? Jack saw the point. A snowmobile running at top speed could get you down to Sidewinder in an hour and a half. Maybe. A helicopter from the Parks Rescue Service could get up here in 3 hours, under optimum conditions. In a blizzard, it would never be able to lift off, and you couldn't hope to run a snowmobile at top speed, even if you dared to take a seriously injured person out into temperatures that might be 25 below or 45 below, if you added wind chill factor. In the case of Grady, Ullman said, I reasoned much as Mr. Shockley seems to have done in your case. Solitude can be damaging in itself. Better for the man to have his family with him. If there was trouble, I thought, the odds were very high that it would be something less urgent than a fractured skull or an accident with one of the power tools or some sort of convulsion. A serious case of the flu, pneumonia, or a broken arm, even appendicitis. All of those things would have left enough time. I suspect that what happened came as a result of too much cheap whiskey, of which Grady had laid in a generous supply, unbeknownst to me, and a curious condition which the old-timers call cabin fever. Do you know the term? Ullman offered a patronizing little smile, ready to explain as soon as Jack admitted his ignorance, and Jack was happy to respond quickly and crisply. Oh yeah, let me know if I'm like, if I sound too quiet or like the music and the background noise is overpowering. Just let me know. I gotta scratch my back. Oh, that feels good. Okay. It's a slang term for the claustrophobic reaction that can occur when people are shut in together over long periods of time. The feeling of claustrophobia is externalized as dislike for people you happen to be shut in with. In extreme cases, it can result in hallucinations and violence. Murder has been done over such minor things as a burned meal or an argument about whose turn it is to do the dishes. It's all okay, the voice and the music. Perfect. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Floki. Thank you very much. Ullman looked rather nonplussed, which did Jack a world of good. He decided to press a little further, but silently promised Wendy he would stay cool. I suspect you did a mistake at that. Did he hurt them? He killed them, Mr. Torrance, and then committed suicide. He murdered the little girls with a hatchet, his wife with a shotgun, and himself the same way. His leg was broken, undoubtedly so drunk he fell downstairs. Ullman spread his hands and looked at Jack self-righteously. Was he a high school graduate? As a matter of fact, he wasn't, Ullman said a little stiffly. I thought shall we say, less imaginative individual would be less susceptible to the rigors of loneliness. That was your mistake, Jack said. A stupid man is more prone to cabin fever, just as he's more prone to shoot someone over a card game or commit a spur-of-the-moment robbery. He gets bored. When the snow comes, there's nothing to do but watch TV or play solitaire and cheat when he can't get all the aces out. Nothing to do but bitch at his wife and nag at the kids and drink. It gets hard to sleep because there's nothing to hear, so he drinks himself to sleep and wakes up with a hangover. He gets edgy. And maybe the telephone goes out, and the TV aerial blows down. There's nothing to do but think and cheat at solitaire and get edgier and edgier. Finally, boom, boom, boom. Whereas a more educated man such as yourself, my wife and I both like to read. I have a play to work on, as Alice Shockley probably told you. Danny has his puzzles, his coloring books, and his crystal radio. I plan to teach him to read. I also want to teach him to snowshoe. Wendy would like to learn how to. Oh yes, I think we can keep busy and out of each other's hair if the TV goes on the fritz. And Al... He paused, and Al was telling the truth when he told you I no longer drink. I did once, and it got to be serious. But I haven't had so much as a glass of beer in the last 14 months. I don't intend to bring any alcohol up here, and I don't think there will be any opportunity to get any after the snow flies. And that you would be quite correct, Olman said. But as long as you three are up here, the potential for problems is multiplied. I have told Mr. Shockley this, and he told me that he would take the responsibility. Now, I've told you, and apparently you are also willing to take responsibility. I am. Alright, I'll accept that, since I have little choice, but I'd still rather have an unattached college boy taking a year off. Well, perhaps you'll do. Now I'll turn you over to Mr. Watson, who will take you through the basement and around the grounds, unless you have further questions. No, none at all. Woolman stood. I hope there are no hard feelings, Mr. Torrance. There's nothing personal in the things I have said to you. I only want what's best for you, for the Overlook. It is a great hotel and I want to stay that way. No hard feelings. Jack flashed the PR grin again, but he was glad Ullman didn't offer to shake hands. There were hard feelings. All kinds of them. Alright, chapter 1's done. Floki, thank you for the hydrate. Thank you very much. I saw it, but I wanted to finish the rest of the chapter. But chapter 1 is now finished. $45 for one chapter. Yep. Well, I mean, in the beginning, there was like the stream starting, and then I was just talking to people for like a little while. But yeah. So chapter 1 is now done. We move on to chapter 2. There we go. Chapter 2! I hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. We were only one chapter in. I'm eating microwave ramen noodles. Nice! I like 40. 42. I've never had microwave ramen. I've only ever had like ramen once in my entire life. So I probably gotta try it some more. Right. Chapter 2. Boulder. She looked out the kitchen window and saw him, just sitting there on the curb, not playing with his trucks or the wagon or even the balsa glider that had pleased him so much all last week since Jack brought it home. I usually make it on the stove, but I was lazy. Keep reading. Okay. I hope your ramen's good. He was just sitting there, watching for their shop-worn VW, his elbows planted on his thighs and his chin propped in his hands. A 5-year-old kid waiting for his daddy. Wendy suddenly felt bad, almost crying bad. She hung the dish towel over the bar by the sink and went downstairs, buttoning the top 2 buttons of her house dress. Jack in his pride. Hey, no, Al, I don't need an advance. I'm okay for a while. The hallway walls were gouged and marked with crayons, grease pencil, spray paint. The stairs were steep and splintery. The whole building smelled of sour age, and what sort of place was this for Danny? After the small, neat brick house in Stovington. The people living above them on the third floor weren't married, and while that didn't bother her, their constant rancorous fighting did. It scared her. The guy up there was Tom, and after the bars had closed and they returned home, the fights would start in earnest. The rest of the week was just a prelim in comparison. The Friday night fights, Jack called them, but it wasn't funny. The woman, her name was Elaine, would at last be reduced to tears and repeating over and over again, "Don't. Tom, please, please don't." And he would shout at her. Once they'd even wakened Danny, and Danny slept like a corpse. The next morning, Jack caught Tom going out and had spoken to him on the sidewalk at some length. Tom started to bluster, and Jack had said something else to him, too quietly for Wendy to hear. And Tom had only shaken his head sullenly and walked away. That had been a week ago, and for a few days things had been better, but since the weekend things had been working back to normal. Excuse me, abnormal. It was bad for the boy. Her sense of grief washed over her again, but she was on the walk now, and she smothered it. Sweeping her dress under her, and sitting down on the curb beside him, she said, "What's up, Doc?" He smiled at her, but it was perfunctory. "Hi, Mom." The glider was between his sneakered feet, and she saw that one of the wings had started to splinter. "Want me to see what I can do with that, honey?" Danny had gone back to staring up the street. "No. Dad will fix it." "Your daddy may not be back until supper time, Doc. It's a long drive up into those mountains. Do you think the bug will break down?" "No, I don't think so." They had just given her something new to worry about. "Thanks, Danny. I needed that." "Dad said it might," Danny said in a matter-of-fact, almost bored manner. "He said the fuel pump was all shot to shit." "Don't say that, Danny." "Fuel pump?" he asked her with honest surprise. She sighed. "No. All shot to shit. Don't say that." "Why?" "It's vulgar." "What's vulgar, Mom?" "Like when you pick your nose at the table, or pee with the bathroom door open, or saying things like all shot to shit. Shit is a vulgar word. Nice people don't say it." "Well, shit. I guess I'm not a nice person. Okay." "Dad says it. When he's looking at the bug motor, he says, 'Christ, this fuel pump's all shot to shit.' Isn't Dad nice?" "How do you get into these things, Winifred? Do you practice?" "He's nice, but he's also grown up. And he's very careful not to say things like that in front of people who wouldn't understand." "You mean like Uncle Al?" "Yes, that's right." "Can I say it when I'm grown up?" "I suppose you will, whether I like it or not." "How old?" "How does 20 sound, Doc?" "That's a long time to have to wait." "I guess it is, but you have to try." "Okay." He went back to staring up the street. He flexed a little as if to rise, but the beetle coming was much newer and much brighter red. He relaxed again. She wondered just how hard this move to Colorado had been on Danny. He was closed-mouthed about it, but it bothered her to see him spending so much time by himself. In Vermont, 3 of Jack's fellow faculty members had had children about Danny's age, and there had been the preschool. But in this neighborhood, there was no one for him to play with. Most of the apartments were occupied by students attending CU, and of the few married couples here on Arapahoe Street, only a tiny percentage had children. She had spotted perhaps a dozen of high school or junior high school age 3 infants, and that was all. "Mommy, why did Daddy lose his job?" She was jolted out of her reverie and floundering for an answer. She and Jack had discussed ways they might handle just such a question from Danny. Ways that varied from evasion to the plain truth, with no varnish on it. But Danny had never asked. Not until now, when she was feeling low, and least prepared for such a question. Yet, he was looking at her, maybe reading the confusion on her face, and forming his own ideas about that. She thought that to children, adult motives and actions must seem as bulking and ominous as dangerous animals seen in the shadows of a dark forest. They were jerked about like puppets, having only the vaguest notions why. The thought brought her dangerously close to tears again, and while she fought them off, she leaned over, picked up the disabled glider, and turned it over in her hands. Your daddy was coaching the debate team, Danny. Do you remember that? Sure. Arguments for fun, right? He said. Right. She turned the glider over and over, looking at the trade name. Speedo Glide. And the blue star decals on the wings, and found herself telling the exact truth to her son. There was a boy named George Hatfield that Daddy had to cut from the team. That means he wasn't as good as some others. George said your daddy cut him because he didn't like him, and not because he wasn't good enough. Then George did a bad thing. I think you know about that. Was he the one who put holes in our bug's tires? Yes, he was. It was after school and your daddy caught him doing it. Now she hesitated again, but there's no question of evasion now. It was reduced to tell the truth or tell a lie. Your daddy... Sometimes he does things he's sorry for later. Sometimes he doesn't think the way he should. That doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. Did he hurt George Hatfield? Like the time I spilled all his papers? Sometimes. Danny with his arm in a cast. He does things he's sorry for later. Wendy blinked her eyes savagely hard, driving her tears all the way back. Something like that, honey. Your daddy hit George to make him stop cutting the tires, and George hit his head. Then the men who are in charge of the school said George couldn't go there anymore, and your daddy couldn't teach there anymore. She stopped, out of words, and waited in dread for the deluge of questions. Oh. Bonk. You're right, bonk. George went to horny jail. Bonk. Oh, Danny said, and went back to looking up the street. Apparently the subject was closed. If only it would be closed that easily for her. Ah, being the 5-year-old. It's great. Get to ignore stuff so easily. She stood up. I'm going upstairs for a cup of tea, Doc. Want a couple of cookies and a glass of milk? I think I'll watch for Dad. I don't think he'll be home much before 5. Maybe he'll be early. Maybe, she agreed. Maybe he will. She was halfway up the walk when he called, Mommy? What, Danny? Do you want to go and live in that hotel for the winter? Now, which of the 5,000 answers should she give to that one? The way she had felt yesterday, or last night, or this morning. They were all different. They crossed the spectrum from rosy pink to dead black. She said, If it's what your father wants, it's what I want. She paused. What about you? I guess I do, he said finally. Nobody much to play with around here. You miss your friends, don't you? Sometimes I miss Scott and Andy. That's about all. She went back to him and kissed him, rumpled his light-colored hair that was just losing its baby fineness. He was such a solemn little boy, and sometimes she wondered just how he was supposed to survive with her and Jack for parents. The high hopes they had begun with came down to this unpleasant apartment building in a city they didn't know. The image of Danny and his cast rose up before her again. Somebody in the Divine Placement Service had made a mistake, one she sometimes feared could never be corrected, which only the most innocent bystander could pay for. Stay out of the road, Doc, she said and hugged him tight. Sure, Mom. She went upstairs and into the kitchen. She put on the teapot and laid a couple of Oreos on a plate for Danny in case he decided to come up while she was laying down. Sitting at the table with her big pottery cup in front of her, she looked out the window at him, still sitting on the curb in his blue jeans and his oversized dark green Stovington Prep sweatshirt, the glider now lying beside him. The tears which had threatened all day now came in a cloudburst, and she leaned forward into the fragrant curling steam of the tea and wept, in grief and loss for the past, and terror of the future. Chapter 2 is over. Okay. Now we're on to Chapter 3. Flucky! Thank you for the hydrate, friend. Thank you very much. Gonna open this new water bottle. Hydration is key. Yes, it is. That feels good. I also got a bag of Twizzlers right next to me. My parents went out, and my mom was looking for Twizzlers because she really likes the black Twizzler. Not Twizzlers, but licorice. And instead, they got red ones. Red ones are good. I always like the smell of red ones. It's not Twizzlers, it's just licorice. Ew. Not a big fan of licorice later. Oh yeah, the black ones? I never liked them. But apparently the black ones are like the original flavor. Not the red ones. I was kind of surprised to learn that. Black licorice. Okay. Now from the licorice is like this type of candy. Although I don't like that type of candy, the red is definitely the best. Yeah. Licorice is a type of candy. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't really know how to explain licorice. It's just like a type of candy that comes in different varieties of flavor. Chewy, I guess. I don't think sticky's the right one. No, that's not that. It's the candy. There we go. Whole bunch of examples on like Amazon. De nada. Okay, so now we're on chapter 3. You lost your temper, Ullman had said. Okay, here's your furnace, Watson said, turning on the lights in the dark, musty-smelling room. He was a beefy man with fluffy popcorn hair, white shirt, and dark green chinos. He swung open a small square grating in the furnace's belly, and he and Jack peered in together. This here's the pilot light. A steady blue-white jet hissing steadily upward channel direct destructive force. But the key word, Jack thought, was destructive, and not channeled. If you stuck your hand in there, the barbecue would happen in 3 quick seconds. Lost your temper. Thanks, I say. Oh, that thing, the rope weird. Yes, that's licorice. That is licorice. You're not really missing out in like eating licorice or not. It's just, it's all right. I would recommend the red ones, but there are people out there who like the black ones. Danny, are you alright? The furnace filled the entire room, by far the biggest and oldest Jack had ever seen. The pilot's got a failsafe, Watson told him. Little sensor in there measures heat. If the heat falls below a certain point, it sets off a buzzer in your quarters. The boiler's on the other side of the wall. I'll take you around. He slammed the grating shut and led Jack behind the iron bulk of the furnace, towards another door. The iron radiated a stuporous heat at them, and for some reason, Jack thought of a large dozing cat. Watson jingled his keys and whistled. Lost you. When he went back into his study and saw Danny standing there, wearing nothing but his training pants and a grin, a slow red cloud of rage had eclipsed Jack's reason. It seemed slow, subjectively inside his head, but it must have all happened in less than a minute. It only seemed slow the way some dreams seem slow, the bad ones. Every door and drawer in his study seemed to have been ransacked in the time he had been gone. Closet, cupboards, the sliding bookcase, every desk drawer yanked out to the stop. His manuscript, the 3-act play he'd been slowly developing from a novelette he had written 7 years ago as an undergraduate, was scattered all over the floor. He had been drinking a beer and doing the Act 2 corrections when Wendy said the phone was for him, and Danny poured the can of beer all over the pages. Probably see it foam. See it foam? See it foam? The words played over and over in his mind like a single sick chord on an out-of-tune piano. Completing the circuit of his rage, he stepped deliberately toward his 3-year-old son, who was looking up at him with that pleased grin. His pleasure at the job of work so successfully and recently completed in Daddy's study. Danny began to say something, and that was when he grabbed Danny's hand and bent it to make him drop the typewriter eraser and the mathematical pencil he was clenching in it. Danny had cried out a little. No. To tell the truth, he screamed. It was all hard to remember through the fog of anger, the sick single thump of that one Spike Jones chord. Wendy somewhere asking what was wrong, her voice faint, damped by the inner mist. This was between the two of them. He had whirled Danny around to spank him, his big adult fingers digging into the scant meat of the boy's forearm, meeting around it in a closed fist, and the snap of the breaking bone had not been loud. Not loud, but had been very loud. Huge, but not loud. Just enough of a sound to slip through the red fog like an arrow. But instead of letting in sunlight, that sound let in dark clouds of shame and remorse. The terror, the agonizing convulsion of the spirit. A clean sound with the past of one side of it and all the future on the others. A sound like breaking pencil lead, or a small piece of kindling when you brought it down over your knee. A moment of utter silence on the other side, in respect to the beginning future, maybe. All the rest of his life. Seeing Danny's face drain of color until it was like cheese. Seeing his eyes, always large, grow larger still, and glassy. Jack was sure the boy was going to faint dead, away into a puddle of beer and papers. His own voice, weak and drunk, slurry, trying to take it all back, to find a way around that not too loud sound of bone cracking into the past. Is there a status quo in the house? Saying, Danny, are you alright? Danny's answering shriek. Then Wendy's shocked gasp as she came around them and saw the peculiar angle Danny's forearm had to his elbow. No arm was meant to hang quite that way in a world of normal families. Her own scream as she swept him into her arms, and nonsense babble. Oh God, Danny, oh dear, oh God, oh sweet God, oh you poor sweet arm. And Jack was standing there, stunned and stupid, trying to understand how a thing like this could have happened. He was standing there, and his eyes met the eyes of his wife, and he saw that Wendy hated him. It did not occur to him what the hate might mean in practical terms. It was only later that he realized she might have left him that night, gone to a motel, gotten a divorce lawyer in the morning, or called the police. he saw only that his wife hated him, and he felt staggered by it all. All alone. He felt awful. This is what oncoming death felt like. Then she fled for the telephone and dialed the hospital, with their screaming boy wedged in the crook of her arm. And Jack did not go after her. He only stood in the ruins of his office, smelling beer and thinking, "You lost your temper." He rubbed his hand harshly across his lips and followed Watson into the boiler room. It was humid in here, but it was more than the humidity that brought the sick and slimy sweat onto his brow and stomach and legs. The remembering did that. It was a total thing that made the night 2 years ago seem like 2 hours ago. There was no lag. It brought the shame and revulsion back, the sense of having no worth at all. And that feeling always made him want to have a drink, and the wanting of a drink brought still blacker despair. Would he ever have an hour? Not a week or even a day, mind you, but just one waking hour where the craving for a drink wouldn't surprise him like this. The boiler, Watson announced. He pulled a red and blue bandana from his back pocket, blew his nose with a decisive honk, and thrust it back out of sight after a short peek into it to see if he had gotten anything interesting. Hold on. The boiler stood on 4 cement blocks along a cylindrical metal tank, copper jacketed and often patched. It squatted beneath a confusion of pipes and ducts which zigzagged upward into the high cobweb festooned basement ceiling. To Jack's right, 2 large heating pipes came through the wall from the furnace in the adjoining room. "Pressure gauge is here," Watson tapped it. "Pounds per square inch, PSI. I guess you know that. I got her up to 100 now, and the rooms get a little chilly at night. Few guests complain. What the fuck? They're crazy to come up here in September anyways. Besides, this is an old baby. Got more patches on her than a pair of welfare overalls." Out came the bandana, a honk, a peek, back it went. "It got me a fucking cold," Watson said, conversationally. "I get one every September. I'd be tinkering down here with this old whore, and then I'd be out cutting the grass or raking that roll court. Get a chill and catch a cold. My old mom used to say that. God bless her. She'd been dead 6 years. The cancer got her. Once the cancer gets you, you might as well make your will. You'll want to keep your press..." Wait. Okay. "You'll want to keep your press up to no more than 50, maybe 60. Mr. Ullman says to heat the west wing one day, central wing the next, east wing the day after. Ain't he a crazy man? I hate that little fucker. Yap, yap, yap. All the live long day. He's just like one of those little dogs that bites you on the ankle, then run around and pee all over the rug. If brains was black powder, he couldn't blow his own nose. It's a pity the things you see when you ain't got a gun. Look here. You open and close these ducts by pulling these rings. I got them all marked for you. The blue tags all go to the rooms in the east wing. Red tags is the middle. Yellow is the west wing. When you go to heat the west wing, you gotta remember that's the side of the hotel that really catches the weather. When it whoops, those rooms get as cold as a frigid woman with an ice cube up her works. You can run your press all the way to the 80 on the west wing days. I would anyways. How long have you not caught a cold? Me personally, or the guy in this story? I personally haven't had a cold in like a very long time, but I know like when you have a cold, you're supposed to have like clogged nose. It's like you're supposed to have like a kind of like a clogged nose a little bit, and just like almost be like talking out of one nostril type thing. On the topic of not reading a book, you earned another 250 points and you wanted to redeem it. Okay. Roger. Roger. Pause that. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I did walk the miles I promised. Even though it was raining today, which kind of sucked, I did walk the miles. A vast majority of them was like chasing my dog or walking him. So, you're gonna become an expert in lifting weights. Cough, cough. Yeah. The main purpose of those is like to help get me in better shape, almost. Yes, really. I did do all the miles that I promised. So, I keep my promises. Just like I promised I'd do this book reading stream at 170 followers. And here we are. Reading The Shining. Where was I? The thermostat upstairs, Jack began. Watson shook his head, vehemently making his fluffy hair bounce on his skull. Let's keep going. Yeah. Let's keep reading the book. Also, let's try and get to 200 followers now. I want to try and get to like 200 followers at least before my birthday. That would be amazing. I want to keep growing this community. So I'm trying to do my part and trying to self-promote. My birthday is May 12th, so it's about a little more than a month. A little more than a month away. If I can't get to 200, it's at least get like a little bit closer. My B-day is also in May. Nice. May days. But yeah, I want to get to like 200 at least, either before or on my birthday. So I'm gonna be trying to like work overtime on this, and hopefully I'll find a job by then. That's the big hope. But yeah, that's the new goal. 200 followers. I want to keep growing this community. I want to be able to do stuff for a lot of people. So I'm trying to do as much self-promotion as I can stand. I'm trying to slowly work on it, and you know, if you guys want to help out, that'd be great. All right, back to the story. Watson shook his head vehemently, making his fluffy hair bounce on the skull. They ain't hooked up. They're just for show. Some of these people from California, they don't think things is right unless they got it hot enough to grow a palm tree in their fucking bedroom. All the heat comes from down here. Got to watch the press though. See your creep? He tapped the main dial, which had crept from 100 pounds per square inch to 102, as Watson soliloquized. Jack felt a sudden shiver across his back in a hurry and thought, the goose just walked over my grave. Then Watson gave the pressure wheel a spin and dumped the boiler off. There was a great hissing and the needle dropped back to 91. Watson twisted the valve shut and the hissing died reluctantly. "She creeps," Watson said. "You tell that fat little Peckerwood Ullman. He drags out the account books and spent 3 hours showing how we can't afford a new one until 1982. I tell you, this whole place is gonna go sky high one day. I just hope that fat fuck's here to ride the rocket. God, I wish I could be as charitable as my mother was. She could see the good in everyone. Me? I'm just as mean as a snake with shingles. What the fuck? A man can't help his nature. Now you gotta remember to come down here twice a day and once a night before you rack in. You gotta check the press. If you forget, it'll just creep and creep, and like as not, you and your family will wake up on the fucking moon. You'll just dump her off a little and you'll have no trouble." What's top end? Oh, she's rated for 250, but she blow long before that now. You couldn't get me to come down and stand next to her when that dial was up to 180. There's no automatic shutdown? No, there isn't. This was built before such things were required. If you don't self-promote, I'll do it on servers that I am. That's a good idea. Yeah, I've been trying to sell. I literally today I cleared, like, I purged my Twitter, and I did my first tweet in a very long time promoting my promoting the stream tonight. So, you know, hopefully that'll help. And how are you? How are you? Thanks for coming by. I'm good. How are you? How did the rest of your stream go? Were you able to finish the game, or at least get past what was his name? I think it was Van Crump and his robot. I sent a friend this stream a couple minutes ago. Thank you, later. Thank you. But welcome. We're just kind of quietly sitting here and we're just reading The Shining. I promised the community I'd do a book reading stream once we got to 170. But how are you, and I? No, it's Anna. It's Anna Isekai, right? I keep saying Anai. But how are you? I'm good. I want to say thank you for the raid. It's no problem. I've really been wanting to support other people, you know? Yes, it's Anna. Okay, good. I feel bad for just like saying Anai. I keep adding the I even though it's Isekai. Yeah. But it's no problem. You know, I really want to help people like grow and just want to manage to beat the game yesterday. Congrats. I'm so happy for you. So you managed to beat the final boss? I'm so happy for you. I've never been able to do that in Paper Mario. So what's the plan now? What's the next game? Literally, I just want to help people and want to, like, you know, help the world. I just want to make people happy, and you know, I saw like rating you last night made you really happy, and that just made me happy. So there's really no method to my madness. Fave type of anime is isekai. Oh, is Sakai. I get it. Made a poll in Mario Odyssey's next. Wow, really just hitting up all the Mario games lately. I would have sucked it. I don't know. Maybe I would have done like OG Luigi's Mansion. That's always a solid game to do. No, Floki, she's not. We raided her last night, and we literally just met yesterday. So, excuse me, I'm having some licorice. But now the next goal is 200. Always gotta be ever moving forward. Make some more noodles. Okay. We've literally... So, this is the first ever reading stream that I've done Um, the first ever reading stream I've done. We literally just started the book today. And 200 is doable. You're so close. I know. I know. I know. So close. I wanna ideally get there before my birthday, which is in May. And so I'm just gonna be like working hard towards it. So. But you're getting pretty up there, if I remember correctly. You're doing so well for yourself too. By the way, your VR avatar, it's amazing. I love it. I love your 3D avatar. It's so expressive. I also love the little Eevee. But yes, we just started the book today. We're reading The Shining. Will you be doing Minecraft reviewers sometime? Yeah, of course. I love playing Minecraft. We're reading The Shining because that's what people in the community voted for. And we just started today. And, yeah, we're on chapter 3. I think we're about... How many more pages until chapter 4? That's about 9 pages until chapter 4. So we're chugging along at a pretty good pace, but it's a pretty long book, so it might be like multiple streams. It's like, what, 600 pages? Thank you, I'm getting a new one. The VTuber I have now is just a simple one to start off. I mean, you always gotta start off somewhere. I didn't start off with even like a PNG. It was literally only called Plague Doctor because a character I wrote for a roleplay group. Captain Apex, what's up? Hello. How are you? I like yours. That's cool. Did you draw it? No, I did not draw it. A wonderful member in the community named Ethereal Autumn drew it for me. She's also a streamer. She had been supporting me for a very long time, and she drew that and the various fan art, which is my first ever fan art, and I feel extremely humbled and honored. I have no I have no artistic skill whatsoever, so I wouldn't be able to draw something like this. I failed art in like 8th grade, so I could barely draw like a circle straight. Is it a reference to a character, to a show? It's a reference to a character that I created for a roleplay group a while back. A bunch of my friends just started calling me like a Plague Doctor because my character was so iconic that it just stuck. It just stuck, and now everyone calls me Plague Doctor. And I'm just like, you know what? At least finally I'll have a I'll finally have like a mascot for the channel. Because I always feel awkward if it's just like my voice. At least now they'll have something to characterize me. And it's Plague Doctor. I was wondering how that's a cool way to get your character design. Yeah. I used to do, well, I still do. I do a lot of writing. And I've created like a lot of characters over the years. And people liked my characters. It's just do not forget to self-promote. You may see me in some streams. Yes, Flook here is very dedicated. They love supporting people. By the way, are you streaming tonight, Anna, or are you taking a break to get ready for the next one? This book reading stream is also a good opportunity for me to work on my voice acting skills. Today you're playing Pokemon. What kind of Pokemon game, if you don't mind me asking? I love Pokemon Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness. Probably my favorite Pokemon games ever. Of course, the GameCube games like were just great. Here I am, like, actually doing just chatting. Pokemon Platinum, it's a Nuzlocke. Ooh, Nuzlocks! Especially Pokemon Platinum? Yikes. I would hate having to go up against Cynthia. Oh, that would kill me. That would kill me. Might start streaming soon, but I wouldn't know what I would stream. Later, I would recommend streaming something that you enjoy. If you very much love a game and you know like a lot about it, I would just recommend streaming that. You know? The best thing you could do is stream a game that you love. Found out it's very hard because of all the trade evolutions. Yeah, there's a lot of those. There are a lot of those. Makes me sad and angry to see people who do not self-promote. Are you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I don't self-promote. And everyone, please drop a follow for Anna Isekai. She is a wonderful streamer, very funny. Loves to chill with people and loves more kind of like retro games. Like, loves the Nintendo games, just really chill. She is a fellow VTuber. Please support. Drop her a follow. That would make my day. Gotta support others in the community. It's not the best promo because I've literally just you know, there we go. Add your role. not the best promo because I've literally just thought it up on the spot. But hey, anyone who loves Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door is a great person in my eyes. It's one of the top tier games. Who drew Buff Plague Doctor? Oh, you haven't seen Buff Plague Doctor, Anna. You just got here. It's also a piece of fan art. It's actually the first ever piece of fan art I had gotten. This is Buff Plague Doctor. It was also drawn by Ethereal Autumn, who has done pretty much all the fan art so far. The story behind this fan art is literally, I was doing a Christmas stream. I think I was counting, it was right before Christmas, right? Yeah, it was a Christmas Eve stream. And I was building a giant Christmas tree in Minecraft. And this was before I had a limit on how many weightlifts could be redeemed. You're doing that right now? Okay. This was before let me finish the story first. Speak of the devil. Yeah. Let me finish the story first. So this was before I set a number of redemptions for how many weightlifts could be done in a stream. And so what ended up happening was everyone in chat at the end of the stream, all of them redeemed it, and I had to do 140 reps with my 20-pound dumbbell. And I was just dead. And Autumn was just inspired by that event, and I literally became... Okay, now you guys are just trying to kill me. How many are left? I've already... This is up to like 40 now, right? Okay. Super swole, yeah. Because it's the pandemic, right? We're inside the house. I mean, I might as well work out if I can't go to the gym. But I'm like literally laughing because this literally makes me look like a JoJo villain. And so it's just been comically like whenever they redeem it, I don't know if you ever watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, but like whenever they redeem it, I play a very familiar song that a lot of people know, and then I literally, well, now they redeemed it, so I have to like start lifting weights. So excuse me a moment while I kind of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now for the other arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. That's all. Did I scare you off, Anna? Did I scare you off? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Swole Plague Doctor will go away now. Swole Plague Doctor will go away. I'm so sorry. This isn't how we attract. I like the song. I'm glad you like it, guys. We've talked about this. This is not how we keep people around. We don't redeem a bunch of weightlifts. It's pretty dope. I'm glad you like the song. It's from the what's it called? The second season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Not Stardust Crusaders. You're right, we drown our streamers. They like to drown me with hydrates as well. I make hydrates pretty low because I need a lot of water. I'm sorry. That was such a strange thing. We just go for. Thank you for the hydrates, dragon. Oh, you're really trying to drown me. Okay. Okay. I will literally drink the rest of. I will hydrate 1.1. Never. I have that too, and then I have to go to the restroom. Mood. I have like a lot of water bottles just stocked up in my room. So when this exact moment happens, that's why people say, that's why people stay, because your muscles keep them. 7. How many? Dragon's been here for a very long time. He lurks a lot, so he just has a lot of points. All right, I will literally finish this entire water bottle. Excuse me a moment. I must replenish the electrolytes in my muscles after that workout. Chug, chug, chug. How do you still have 10K? Jeez, you've just been like lurking in all my streams. Chug. I've chugged it. I've chugged. Why are you telling me to chug? I've chugged it. I've chugged it. Leave me alone. I finished chugging. Just like more minutes. Like, chug. Keep chugging. I think I should like. Because there's other fan art. There's other fan art that was also created. We've got this from the same artist. We got this from Ethereal Autumn as well. I've only missed like the Persona streams. I don't use my points too often, yeah. So this is also from Ethereal Autumn. Here lies Zach's right arm. Too big to fit in the same grave. Here lies Zach's left arm. Too big to fit in the same grave. Here lies Zach's shadow. Died from too many gains. So we have that. And then we also have We also have this, which is my channel banner. Your legs don't get separate caves because you missed the leg day. Squats 1. That's a good point. Oh my god, Captain Apex. No! Let me... We're never going to get to finish Chapter 3 at this point. Oh my god. Okay. Does the Minecraft skin you don't wear count as fan art? Yes, it does. I do wear it. You're just not online when I do wear it, so... I was actually wearing it on the Minecraft server before I got on. Right. So this is the banner that's also by Autumn. It's got my name. It's not really the official banner. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but she's like moving right now. But we got my little puppy Brody. Little puppy Brody. We got Kronk over there because I can do a pretty good Kronk accent. Right. The poison. Poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison. And then we got the Plague Doctor back there. I never had the chance to like show those off, so I'm kind of happy for that. What the? Yes. Well, it's not really my Minecraft server. It's another streamer's and a member of the community's, Insane Souls. He set it up for everyone. But yes, it does exist. Oh, my music. My music. No, it's still going. We're solid. Uh-huh. Did you know the Emperor is Chilean? It takes place during the Mayans, right? So yes, that would make sense. He is Chilean. Well, no, I guess like the more proper term is Mayan, because the Chileans are like a mix of the Mayans and the Portuguese. It's Portuguese, right? The Portuguese came and like settled in Chile, right? Or was it the conquistadors and the Spaniards? I'm not too sure. My history in Chile is not as proper, right? Anyways, where was I? Because Captain Apex God decided he wanted to be a little bit cheeky. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's everything. Oh my god, I'm never gonna have time for anything with you guys, just like making me pump iron. I get the buff. Get the big buff. The strength buff. Oh, I was wrong? It was the mines. Yeah. It's okay. It's a common mistake that happens all the time. Just like how people are like, oh yeah, the Aztecs, those are the Mexicans, right? Nope. Nope. Mexicans are a mixture of the Aztecs and the Spaniards. But probably more predominantly like the Spaniards. Yerp. Yesterday I stayed until 2 a.m. and I got cheesy. Alright, where was I? We didn't, this is supposed to be a book reading stream, and I just spent a solid 10 to 15 minutes not reading. Alright, where was I? Where's I? Here we go. Just chatting, yeah, pretty much. if you may. There's no automatic shutdown? No, there isn't. This was built before such things were required. Federal government's into everything these days, ain't it? FBI opening mail, CIA bugging the goddamn phones. And look what happened to that Nixon. Wasn't that a sorry sight? But if you just come down here regular and check the press, you'll be fine. And remember to switch those ducks around like he wants. Well, none of the rooms get much above 45 unless we have an amazing warm winter. And you'll have your own apartment, just as warm as you like it. What about plumbing? Okay, I was just getting to that. Over here through this arch. They walked into a long rectangular room that seemed to stretch for miles. Watson pulled a cord and a single 75-watt bulb cast a sickish, swinging glow over the area they were standing in. Straight ahead was the bottom of the elevator shaft, heavy greased cables descending to pulleys 20 feet in diameter, a huge grease-clogged motor. Newspapers were everywhere, bundled and banded and boxed. Other cartoons were marked, records or invoices or receipts. Save. The smell was yellow and moldy. Some of the cartons were falling apart, spilling yellow flimsy sheets that might have been 20 years old out onto the floor. Jack stared around, fascinated. The Overlook's entire history might be here, buried in these rotten cartons. So today, besides being tired and should wake up early, I'm going to sleep, have a great read, love you all. Alright, Floki, have a great night. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us. I hope you have a great night. If you want to know like what continues on the book, I will be uploading the VOD of this tomorrow. So if you just want to catch up, sub or follow me on the YouTube, on YouTube, and I will be uploading the VOD tomorrow. I hope you have a good night, and thank you for stopping by and being so supportive. Have to go, school tomorrow? That's alright later. I hope you have a good night too. If you wanna catch up or just like listen to like everything that we keep, like everything in the rest of the chapters, you know, I will be uploading the VOD of this tomorrow on YouTube. So give it a listen, please. Follow me on YouTube and everything, and I'll see you in the next stream, hopefully. Alright, I'll be sure to watch. Alright, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night. Where was I? The Overlook's entire history might be here, buried in these rotting cartons. That elevator's a bitch to keep running, Watson said, jerking his thumb at it. I know Ullman's buying the state elevator inspector a few fancy dinners to keep the repairman away from that fucker. Okay, I'll take a look. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will be uploading VODs of like streams up there pretty much starting tomorrow. So, anyways, I hope you all have a good night. Yeah, bye-bye. Have a good night, Floki. You too later. Now here's your central plumbing core. In front of them, 5 large pipes, each of them wrapped in insulation and cinched with steel bands. Oh, wait, no. Now here's your central plumbing core. In front of them, 5 large pipes, each of them wrapped in insulation and cinched with steel bands, rose into the shadows and out of sight. Watson pointed to a cobwebby shelf beside the utility shaft. There were a number of greasy rags on it, and a loose-leaf binder. That there's all your plumbing schematics, he said. I don't think you'll have any trouble with leaks. Never has been. But sometimes the pipes freeze up. Only way to stop that is to run the faucets a little bit during the night. But there's over 400 taps in this fucking place. That fat fairy upstairs would scream all the way to Denver when he saw the water bill. Ain't that right? I'd say that's a remarkably astute analysis. Watson looked at him admirably. Say, you really are a college fellow, aren't you? Talk just like a book. I admired that. As long as the fella ain't one of those fairy boys. Lots of them are. You know, who stirred up all those college riots a few years ago. The homosexuals. That's who. They get frustrated and have to cut loose. Coming out of the closet, they call it. Holy shit. I don't know what the world's come to. Now, if she freezes, she most likely gonna freeze right up in their shaft. No heat, you see. If it happens, use this. He reached into a broken orange crate and produced a small gas torch. You just unstrap that insulation when you find the ice plug and put the heat right to her, get it? Yes, but what if a pipe freezes outside the utility core? That won't happen if you're doing your job and keeping the place heated. You can't get to the other pipes anyway. Don't fret about it. You'll have no trouble. Beastly place down here. Cobwebby. Gives me the horrors, it does. Ullman said the first winter caretaker killed his family and himself. Yeah, that guy Grady. He was a bad actor. I knew the minute I saw him. Always grinning like an egg-sucked dog. That was when they were just starting out here, and that fat fuck Ullman, who would have hired the Boston Strangler if he'd worked for minimum wage, was a ranger from the national park that found him. The phone was out. All of them up on the west wing on the third floor, froze solid. Too bad about the little girls. 8 and 6 they was. Cute as cut buttons. Oh, that was a hell of a mess. That Ullman. He manages some honky-tonky resort down in Florida in the off-season, and he caught a plane up to Denver and hired a sleigh to take them up here from the Sidewinder because the roads were closed. A sleigh! Can you believe that? He about split a gut trying to keep it out of the papers. Did pretty well. Gotta give him that. There was an item in the Denver Post. Of course, the obituary and that pissant little rag they have down in S Park. But that was just about all. Pretty good considering the reputation this place has got. I expected some reporter would dig it all up again just to sort of put Grady in it as an excuse to rake over the scandals. What scandals? Watson shrugged. Any big hotel's got scandals, he said. Just like every big hotel's got a ghost. Why? Hell, people come and go. Sometimes one of them will pop off in his room. Heart attack or stroke or something like that. Hotels are superstitious places. No 13th floor or room 13, no mirrors on the back of the door you come in through, stuff like that. Why, we lost a lady. I'm stuttering. Oh my god. Doing that voice makes my muscles contort really weirdly. Okay. Why, we lost a lady just this last July. Ullman had to take care of that, and you can bet your ass he did. That's what they pay him the $22,000 a season for. As much as I dislike the little prick, he earns it. It's like some people just come here to throw up and they hire a guy like Ullman to clean up the messes. Here's this woman, must be 60 fucking years old, my age. And her hair's dyed just as red as a horse stoplight. Tits sagging just about down to her belly button on account of she ain't wearing no brassy ear, big, very coarse veins all up and down her legs. So they look like a couple of goddamn road maps. The jewels dripping off her neck, and arms and hanging out her ears. She's got this kid with her. He can't be no more than 17 with hair down to his asshole and his crotch bulging like he stuffed it up with funny pages. It's a very relaxing stream. Good way to calm down for the night, TBH. I'm glad you like it, Captain. I really am. Maybe I should make this like a regular thing, just kind of like breeding streams. Ugh. Just kind of bundle up, get relaxed, and, you know, helps out because it helps me read and helps, like, I don't know, others kind of read. So, where was I? So they're here a week, 10 days maybe, and every night it's the same drill. Down in the Colorado Lounge from 5 to 7, her sucking up Singapore slings like they're gonna outlaw them tomorrow, and him with just one bottle of Olympia, sucking it, making it last. Yeah, you can do it at the end of the day stream. Yeah. End of the day / stream. Yeah. Like what? Do like a 2-hour stream and do like 1 hour of reading? Is that what you mean? Or I don't know. And she'd be making jokes, saying all these witty things, and every time she'd say one of them, he'd grin just like a fucking ape. like she had strings tied to the corner of his mouth. Only after a few days, you could see he was getting harder and harder for him to grin. And God knows what he had to think about getting his pump primed by bedtime. Were they going for dinner? Him walking and her staggering, drunk as a coot. You know, and he'd be pitching them waitresses and grinning at them when she wasn't looking. Hell, we even had bets on how long he'd last. Oh, okay, yeah, I getcha. Maybe like a 3-hour reading stream might be a bit too much. Who knows? Watson shrugged. Then he comes down one night around 10, saying his wife is indisposed, which meant she was passed out again like every other night they was there, and he's gonna get her some stomach medicine. So off he goes in the little Porsche they come in, and that's the last we see of him. Next morning she comes down and she tries to put on this big act, but all day she's getting paler and paler. Mr. Ullman asks her, sort of diplomatic-like, would she like him to notify the state cops just in case. Maybe he had a little accident or something. She's on him like a cat. No, he's a fine driver. She isn't worried. Everything's under control. He'll be back for dinner. So that afternoon she steps into the Colorado around 3 and never has no dinner at all. Goes up to her room around 10:30. Last time anyone's seen her alive. What happened? County coroner said she took about 30 sleeping pills on top of all the booze. Her husband showed up the next day, some big shot lawyer from New York. He gave old Ullman 4 different shades of holy hell. I'll sue this and I'll sue that, and when I'm through you won't even be able to find a clean pair of underwear. Stuff like that. But Ullman's good, the sucker. Ullman got him quieted down. Probably asked that big shot how we'd like to see his wife splashed all over the New York papers. Wife of prominent New York blah blah found dead with belly full of sleeping pills after hiding the salami with a kid young enough to be her grandson. State cops found the Porsche in the back of this all-night burger joint down in Lyons, and Ullman pulled a few strings to get it released to that lawyer. Then both of them ganged up on old Archer Holton, which is the county coroner, and got him to change the verdict to accidental death, heart attack. Now old Archer's driving a Chrysler. I don't begrudge him. Man's gotta take it where he finds it, especially when he starts getting along in years. Out came the bandana. Honk, peek, out of sight. So what happens? About a week later, this stupid... Oh, I can't say that word. I can't say that word on stream. I can't say that word. The stupid C-U-N-T of a chambermaid, Dolores Vickery by her name. She gives out a hell of a streak while she's making up the room where those two stayed, and she faints dead away. When she comes to, she says she's seen the dead woman in the bathroom, lying naked in her tub. Her face was all purple and puffy, she says, and she was grinning at me. Solomon gave her 2 weeks worth of walking papers and told her to get lost. I figure there's maybe 40 to 50 people died in this hotel since my grandfather opened it for business in 1910. There was a very bad word in there. That's my favorite word, though. I can't say that. I'd get banned. Maybe if I was Australian, I'd be able to say it, but I'm not Australian. So, they use that word like water. You know how most of them go? Heart attack or stroke while they're banging the lady they're with. That's what these resorts get a lot of. Old types that want one last fling. They come up here to the mountains to pretend they're 20 again. Sometimes something gives, and not all the guys who ran this place was as good as Ullman is at keeping it out of the papers. I say it all the time, even on stream. Jeez! Dang, I can't believe you're saying that word. I can't say that word. It's like socially programmed into me not to say it. So the Overlook's got a reputation, yeah? I'll bet the fucking Baltimore and New York City's guys got a reputation if you ask the right people. But no ghosts? Mr. Torrance, I've worked here all my life. I played here when I was a kid, no older than your boy in that wall snapshot you showed me. I ain't never seen a ghost yet. You want to come out back with me? I'll show you the equipment shed. Fine. As Watson reached up to turn off the light, Jack said, there sure are a lot of papers down here. Oh, you're not kidding. Seems like they go back 1,000 years. Newspapers and old invoices and bills of lading and Christ knows what else. My dad used to keep up with them pretty good when we had the old wood-burning furnace, but now they got all out of hand. Some year, I gotta get a boy to haul them down to the Sidewinder and burn them. If Ullman was stand the expense, I guess he'll holler rat loud enough. I swear all the time, so it's just normal vocab for me. Kind of hard not to say it, the BH. It's not like I swear a lot. It's just like I can't say that word. I can't say that word at all. That's messed up. There's like certain words I will not say, even if they're swear words. And I like swear words. Then there are rats? Yeah, I guess there's some. Got the traps and the poison Mr. Ullman wants you to use up in the attic and down here. You keep a good eye on your boy, Mr. Torrance. Wouldn't want nothing to happen to him. No, I sure wouldn't. Coming from Watson, the advice didn't sting. They went to the stairs and paused there for a moment while Watson blew his nose again. You'll find all the tools you need out there and some you don't, I guess. And there's the shingles. Did Ullman tell you about that? Yes. He wants part of the west roof reshingled. He'll get all the for free out of you he can. The fat little prick. And then whine around and spring about how you didn't do the job half right. I told him once right in his face. I said... Watson's word faded to a comforting drone as they mounted the stairs. Jack Torrance looked back over his shoulder once into the impenetrable, musty-smelling darkness and thought if there was ever a place that should have ghosts, this was it. He thought of Grady, locked in by the soft, implacable snow, going quietly berserk and committing his atrocity. Did they scream? He wondered. Poor Grady, feeling it close in on him more every day, and knowing at last that for him, spring would never come. He shouldn't have been here, and he shouldn't have lost his temper. As he followed Watson through the door, the words echoed back to him like a knell, accompanied by a sharp snap, like a breaking pencil lead. Dear God, he could use a drink, or 1,000 of them. And there's chapter 3. That's chapter 3 done. Chapter 3 is done. I don't have to do Watson anymore. Now we're on to chapter 4. Watson hurts my voice. Like I feel the muscles in my throat tighten. Like they're Okay. Trying to see how many chapters we can get before it's 12 my time. Chapter 4, Shadowland. Danny weakened and went up for his milk and cookies at 4:15. He gobbled them down while looking out the window, then went in to kiss his mother, who was lying down. She suggested that he stay in and watch Sesame Street. This time, the time would pass faster, but he shook his head firmly and went back to his place on the curb. Now it's 5 o'clock, and although he didn't have a watch, he couldn't tell time too. Well, yeah, anyway. He was aware of passing time by the lengthening of the shadows, and by the golden cast that now tinged the afternoon light. Turning the glider over in his hands, he sang under his breath, "Skip to Lou and I don't care, skip to Lou and I don't care. My master's gone away, Lou, skip and Lou." I don't know what the hell that is. They had sung that song all together at the Jack and Jill nursery school he had gone to back in Stovington. He didn't go to nursery school out there because Daddy couldn't afford it to send him anymore. He knew his mother and father worried about that, worried that it was adding to his loneliness, and even more deeply, unspoken between them, that Danny blamed him. But he didn't really want to go to that old Jack and Jill anymore. It was for babies. He wasn't quite a big kid yet, but he wasn't a baby anymore. Gotta go see you. Have a good stream. Alright, Captain Apex, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for chilling out with me. I hope you have a good night. And I hope to see you in the next stream. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you want to catch up with the rest of the book, go ahead and just follow me on YouTube. The VOD will be up there tomorrow. Have a good night. Thank you so much for stopping by. He wasn't quite a big kid yet, but he wasn't a baby anymore. Big kids went to the big school and got a hot lunch. First grade. Next year. This year was someplace between being a baby and a real kid. It was alright. He did miss Scott and Andy, mostly Scott, but it was still alright. It seemed best to wait alone for whatever might happen next. He understood a great many things about his parents, and he knew that many times they didn't like his understandings, and many other times refused to believe them. But someday they would have to believe. He was content to wait. It was too bad they couldn't believe more, though, especially at times like now. Mommy was lying on her bed in the apartment, just about crying. She was so worried about Daddy. Some of the things she was worried about were too grown up for Danny to understand. Vague things that had to do with security, with Daddy's self-image, feelings of guilt and anger, and the fear of what was to become of them. But the two main things on her mind right now were that Daddy had had a breakdown in the mountains. Then why doesn't he call? Or that Daddy had gone off to do the bad thing. Danny knew perfectly well what the bad thing was, and Scotty Aronson, who was 6 months older, had explained it to him. Scotty knew because Daddy did the bad thing too. Once Scotty told him his daddy had punched his mom right in the eye and knocked her down. Finally, Scotty's dad and mom had gotten a divorce over the bad thing, and when Danny had known him, Scotty lived with his mother and only saw his daddy on weekends. The greatest terror of Danny's life was divorce. The word that always appeared in his mind as a sign painted in red letters, which were covered with hissing poisonous snakes. In divorce, your parents no longer lived together. They had a tug-of-war over you in a court. Tennis court? Badminton court? Danny wasn't sure which of it. Which, or if it was some other. But Mommy and Daddy had played both tennis and badminton in Stovington, so he assumed it could be either. And he had to go with one of them, and he practically never saw the other one. And the one you were with could marry somebody you didn't even know if the urge came on them. The most terrifying thing about divorce was that he had sensed the word, or concept, or whatever it was that came to him in his misunderstandings. Floating around in his own parents' heads, sometimes diffuse and relatively distant, sometimes as thick and obscuring and frightening as thunderclouds. It had been that way after Daddy punished him for messing the papers up in his study, and the doctor had to put his arm in a cast. That memory was already faded, but the memory of the divorce thoughts was clear and terrifying. It had mostly been around his mommy that time, and he had been in constant terror that she would pluck the word from her brain and drag it out of her mouth, making it real. Divorce. It was a constant undercurrent in her thoughts. One of the few he could always pick up, like the beat of simple music. But like a beat, the central thought formed only the spine of more complex thoughts. Thoughts that he could not as yet even begin to interpret. They came to him as colors and moods. Mommy's divorce thoughts centered around what Daddy had done to his arm, and what happened at Stovington when Daddy lost his job. That boy, that George Hatfield, who got pissed off at Daddy and put holes in the bug's feet. Daddy's divorce thoughts were more complex, colored, dark violet, and shot through with frightening veins of pure black. He seemed to think that they would be better off if he left, that things would stop hurting. His daddy hurt almost all the time, mostly about the bad thing too. Danny could almost always pick that up too. Daddy's constant craving to go into a dark place and watch a color TV and eat peanuts out of a bowl and do the bad thing until his brain would be quiet and leave him alone. But this afternoon his mother had no need to worry, and he wished he could go and tell her that the bug had not broken down. Daddy was not off somewhere doing the bad thing. He was almost home now, putt-putting along the highway between Lyons and Boulder. For the moment, his daddy wasn't even thinking about the bad thing. He was thinking about... Danny looked furtively behind him at the kitchen window. Sometimes thinking very hard made something happen to him. It made things, real things, go away. And then he saw things that weren't there. Once not long after they put the cast on his arm, this had happened at the supper table. They weren't talking much to each other then, but they were thinking. Oh yes, the thoughts of the divorce hung over the kitchen table like a cloud full of black rain, pregnant, ready to burst. It was so bad he couldn't eat. The thought of eating with all that black divorce around made him want to throw up. And because it had seemed desperately important, he had thrown himself fully into concentration and something had happened. When he came back to real things, he was lying on the floor with beans and mashed potatoes in his lap, and his mom was holding him crying, and Daddy had been on the phone. He had been frightened, had tried to explain to them that there was nothing wrong, that this sometimes happened to him when he concentrated on understanding more than what normally came to him. He tried to explain about Tony, who they called his invisible playmate. His father said he's having a hallucination. He seems okay, but I want the doctor to look at him anyways. After the doctor left, Mommy made him promise to never do that again, to never scare them that way, and Danny had agreed. He was frightened himself, because when he had concentrated his mind, it had flown out to his daddy, and just for a moment, before Tony had appeared, far away as he always did, calling distantly, and the strange things had blotted out their kitchen and the carved roast on the blue plate. For just a moment, his own consciousness had plunged through his daddy's darkness to an incomprehensible word, much more frightening than divorce. And that word was suicide. Danny had never come across it again in his daddy's mind, and had certainly not gone looking for it. He didn't care if he never found out exactly what that word meant. But he did like to concentrate, because sometimes Tony would come. Not every time. Sometimes things just got woozy and swimmy for a minute, and then cleared. Most times, in fact. But other times, Tony would appear at the very limit of his vision, calling distantly and beckoning. It happened twice since they moved to Boulder, and he remembered how surprised and pleased he had been to find Tony had followed him all the way from Vermont. So all his friends hadn't left behind after all. The first time he had been out in the backyard, nothing much had happened. Just Tony beckoning and then darkness. And a few minutes later he had come back to real things with vague fragments of memories, like a jumbled dream. The second time, 2 weeks ago, had been more interesting. Tony, beckoning, calling from 4 yards over. Danny, come see. It seemed that he was getting up and then falling into a deep hole like Alice in Wonderland. Then he had been in the basement of the apartment house, and Tony had been beside him, pointing into the shadows at the trunk his daddy carried all of his important papers in, especially the play. See? Tony had said in his distant musical voice. It's under the stairs. Right under the stairs. The movers put it right under the stairs. Danny stepped forward to look more closely at this marvel, and then he was falling again. This time out of the backyard swing, where he had been sitting all along. He had gotten the wind knocked out of himself too. 3 or 4 days later, his daddy had been stomping around, telling Mommy furiously that he had been all over the goddamn basement and the trunk wasn't there. He was going to sue the goddamn movers who had left it somewhere between Vermont and Colorado. How was he supposed to finish the play if things like this kept cropping up? Danny said, No, Daddy, it's under the stairs. The movers put it right under the stairs. Daddy had given him a strange look and had gone down to see. The trunk had been there, just where Tony had shown him. Daddy had taken him aside, sat him on his lap, and had asked Danny who let him down the cellar. Had it been Tom from upstairs? The cellar was dangerous, Daddy said. That was why the landlord kept it locked. If someone was leaving it unlocked, Daddy wanted to know. He was glad to have his papers and his play, but it wouldn't be worth it to him, he said, if Danny fell down the stairs and broke his leg. Danny told his father earnestly that he hadn't been down the cellar. The door was always locked, and Mommy agreed. Danny never went down in the back hall, she said, because it was damp and dark and spidery, and he didn't tell lies. Then how'd you know, Doc? Daddy said. Tony showed me. His mother and father had exchanged a look over his head. This had happened before, from time to time, because it was frightening. They swept it quickly away from their minds. But he knew they worried about Tony, Mommy especially, and he was careful about thinking the way that could make Tony come, where she might see. But now he thought she was lying down, not moving about in the kitchen yet, and so he concentrated, hard to see, if he could understand what Daddy was thinking about. His brow furrowed, and his slightly grimy hands clenched into tight fists on his jeans. He did not close his eyes. That wasn't necessary, but he squinched them down to slits and imagined Daddy's voice. Jack's voice. John Daniel Torrance's voice. Deep and steady, sometimes quirking up with amusement or deepening even more with anger, or just staying steady because he was thinking. Thinking of, thinking about, thinking. Danny sighed quietly and his body slumped on the curb as if all muscles had gone out. He was fully conscious. He saw the street and the girl and the boy walking up the sidewalk on the other side, holding hands because they were in love? So happy about the day and themselves together in the day. He saw autumn leaves blowing along the gutter, yellow cartwheels of irregular shape. He saw the house they were passing and noticed how the roof was covered with shingles. I guess it'll be no problem if the flashing's okay. Yeah, that'll be alright. That Watson. Christ, what a character. Wish there was a place for him in the play. I'll end up with the whole fucking human race in it if I don't watch out. Yeah, shingles. Are there nails out there? Oh shit, I forgot to ask him. Well, they're simple to get. Sidewinder hardware store. Wasps. They're nesting this time of year. Might want to get one of those bug bombs in case they're there when I rip up the old shingles. New shingles. Old. Shingles. So that's what I was thinking about. He had gotten the job and was thinking about shingles. Danny didn't know who Watson was, but everything else seemed clear enough. And he might get to see wasp nests. Just as sure as his name was. Danny. He looked up and there was Tony, far up the street, standing by a stop sign and waving. Danny, as always, felt a warm burst of pleasure at seeing his old friend, but this time he seemed to feel a prick of fear too. As if Tony had come with some darkness hidden behind his back. A jar of wasps, which when released would sting deeply. But there was no question of not going. He slumped further down the curb, his hands sliding laxly from his thighs and dangling below the fork of his crotch. His chin sank into his chest. Then there was a dim, painless tug as part of him got up and ran after Tony into funneling darkness. Danny. Now the darkness was shot with swirling whiteness. A coughing, whooping sound and bending. Tortured shadows that resolved themselves into fir trees at night, being pushed by a screaming gale. Snow swirled and danced. Snow everywhere. Too deep, Tony said from the darkness, and there was a sadness in his voice that terrified Danny. Too deep to get out. Another shape, looming, rearing. Huge and rectangular. A sloping roof. Whiteness that was blurred in the stormy darkness. Many windows. A long building with a shingled roof. Some of the shingles were greener, newer. His daddy put them on. With nails from the Sidewinder hardware store. Now the snow was covering the shingles. It was covering everything. A green witchlight glowed into being on the front of the building, flickered and became a giant grinning skull over two crossed bones. Poison, Tony said from the floating darkness. Poison. Other signs flickered past his eyes, some in green letters. How many more pages are in this chapter? Okay, not that many. Some of them on boards stuck at leaning angles into the snowdrifts. No swimming. Danger. Live wires. This property condemned. High voltage. Third rail. Danger of death. Keep off. Keep out. No trespassing. Violators will be shot on sight. Oh, I got the hiccups. He understood none of them completely. He couldn't read, but he got a sense of all, and a dreamy terror floated into the dark hollows of his body, like light brown spores that would die in sunlight. They faded. Now he was in a dark room filled with strange furniture. A room that was dark. Snow splattered against the windows like thrown sand. His mouth was dry, his eyes like hot marbles, his heart trip hammering, and his chest. Outside there was a hollow booming noise, like a dreadful door being thrown wide. Footfalls. Across the room was a mirror, and deep down in its silver bubble, a single word appeared in green fire, and that word was Red Rum. The room faded. Another room, he knew, would know. This one, an overturned chair, a broken window with snow swirling in. Already had frosted the edge of the rug. The drapes had been pulled free and hung on their broken rod at an angle, a low cabinet lying on its face. More hollow booming noises, steady, rhythmic, horrible, smashing glass, approaching destruction. A hoarse voice, the voice of a madman, made them more terrible by its familiar, "Come out! Come out, you little shit! Take your medicine!" Crash, crash, crash. Splintering wood. A bellow of rage and satisfaction. Red Rum coming. Drifting across the room, pictures torn off the walls, a record player. Mommy's record player? Overturned on the floor. Her records. Grieg, Handel, The Beatles, Art and Garfunkel, Bach, Liszt, thrown everywhere, broken into jagged black pie wedges. A shaft of light coming from another room, the bathroom, harsh white light, and a word flickering on and off in the medicine cabinet mirror, like a red eye. Red Rum, Red Rum, Red Rum. No, he whispered. No, Tony, please. When dangling over the white porcelain lip of the bathtub, a hand, limp, a slow trickle of blood. Red Rum, trickling down the fingers, the third dripping onto the tile from the carefully shaped nail. No. Oh no, oh no. Oh please, Tony, you're scaring me. Red Rum, Red Rum, Red Rum. Stop it, Tony, stop it. Fading. In the darkness, the booming noises grew louder, louder still echoing, everywhere, all around. And now he was crouched in the dark hallway, crouched on a blue rug with a riot of twisting black shapes woven into its pile, listening to the booming noises approach. And now a shape turned the corner and began to come towards him, lurching, smelling of blood and doom. It had a mallet in one hand, and it was swinging it. Red Rum, from side to side in vicious arcs, slamming it into the wall, cutting the silk wallpaper, knocking out the ghostly bursts of plaster dust. Come on, take your medicine. Take it like a man. The shape advancing on him, reeking of that sweet, sour odor, gigantic. The mallet head cutting across the air with a wicked hissing whisper, then the great hollow boom as it crashed into the wall, setting the dust out into a puff you could smell, dry and itchy. Tiny red eyes glowed in the dark. The monster was upon him. It had discovered him, cowering here with a blank wall at his back, and a trapdoor in the ceiling was locked. Darkness. Drifting. Tony, please take me back. Please, please, please. And he was back, sitting on the curb of Arapahoe Street, his shirt sticking damply to his back, his body bathed in sweat. In his ears he could still hear that huge, contrapuntal, booming sound and smell of his own urine as he voided himself in the extremity of his terror. He could see that limp hand dangling over the edge of the tub with blood running down one finger. The third in that inexplicable word so much more horrible than any others. Red Rum. And now sunshine. Real things. Except for Tony, now 6 blocks up. Only a speck. Standing on the corner, his voice faint and high and sweet. Be careful, Doc. Then in the next instant, Tony was gone, and Daddy's battered red bug was turning the corner and chattering up the street, farting blue smoke behind it. Danny was off the curb in a second, waving, jiving from one foot to the other, yelling, Daddy! Hey, Dad! Hi, hi! His dad swung the VW onto the curb, killed the engine, opened the door. Danny ran toward him and then froze, his eyes widening. His heart crawled up into the middle of his throat and froze solid. Beside his daddy, in the other front seat, was a short-handled mallet, its head clotted with blood and hair. Then it was just a bag of groceries. Danny. You okay, Doc? Yeah, I'm okay. He went to his daddy and buried his face in his dad's sheepskin-lined denim jacket and hugged him tight. Tight. Jack hugged him back, slightly bewildered. Hey, you don't want to sit in the sun like that, Doc. You're dripping in sweat. I guess I fell asleep a little. I love you, Daddy. I've been waiting. I love you too, Dan. I brought home some stuff. Think you're big enough to carry it upstairs? Sure am. Doc Torrance, the world's strongest man, Jack said and ruffled his hair. Whose hobby is falling asleep on street corners? Then they were walking up to the door, and Mommy came down to the porch and met them, and he stood on the second step and watched them kiss. They were glad to see each other. Love came out of them, the way love had come out of the boy and girl walking up the street holding hands. Danny was glad. The bag of groceries was just a bag of groceries, cradled in his arm. Everything was all right. Daddy was home, Mommy was loving him, there was no bad things, and not everything Tony had shown him always happened. But fear had settled around his heart, deep and dreadful around his heart, and around that indecipherable word he had seen in the spirit's mirror. Chapter 5 done. No, that's chapter 4. Chapter 4 is done. Alright, nice. I think we're just gonna end it there. It's a lot of my throat's kinda hurting right now. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I'll just end it. I'll end it here. Go ahead and I'll look for someone to raid. Raid. Let's go ahead and see who to raid. I don't have anyone who's really streaming right now, so who can I raid? Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Maybe Minecraft? Okay, I think I found someone to raid. They're also a VTuber, and right now they're playing Minecraft. Okay, so we're going to be raiding this person. I want to thank everyone for stopping by and for, helping me get to 170 followers. It's a really big milestone. I never thought I'd get here. All I can really say is the next place we could go is just 200. I would never be here without all of you and just the constant support. So thank you so much. I know a lot of you are probably asleep right now or have gone to bed. I don't think I'll do a really long book reading stream again. I'll probably just do short ones, at the end of a stream or whatever. But yeah. So we're gonna raid this person, and then I will be streaming again on Tuesday. I hope to see you all there, and thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Shadows. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the raid. What the heck? Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the shout out, Travi. How are you doing today? What did you play? How was just chatting? Wait, what did you do? What did you stream? How was your day? Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Zach Shadows, thank you so much for the follow. How are you doing today? That was too far. Sorry, the Legend of Metal Mario dude that gave you the amiibo? Huh? Thanks for the raid, you amazing person. Yes, thank you so much. I'm doing good actually since I've gotten an email from Razer saying I'm partnered with them, and I honestly don't know what to feel. Wait, you're partnered with Razer? How does that work? What do you do? Do you just promote? That homie who gave me that $1,000 amiibo. Amiibo is like the Animal Crossing cards, right? I think. I was already corrupted by school, so once I learned to ignore it. Oh my gosh. I'm doing well. I had reached a big follower milestone, and my community demanded I read a book for them, so I had been doing that for 2 hours. Wait, oh my gosh, congratulations on your milestone, but reading for 2 hours, that is a lot of reading. Was the story good at least? So yeah, how are you? Are you having a good stream? Yes, I'm having a great stream. I'm trying to finish building my house today. I've been working on it for 6 hours before the stream in total, and it's going so slow. Yes, please, you're hurting my brain. I'm losing brain cells. Wait, why? That's a form of amiibos. Yes, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so is it just like Nintendo cards, I guess? Mario, can you teach Suya about Reddit? I do know Reddit. It's a place where you post stuff and